All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Back the PAC webinar. This is the 5th year of the Back the PAC campaign, and we welcome you to the annual webinar to officially launch the campaign. The purpose of tonight's webinar is understand the importance and the background of this campaign. And we aim to really share some ideas and stories with you that will show you how simple it is to host and support this campaign at your chapter. We also hope that you will take the opportunity to share with us some experiences that you've had in the past and be ready to jump in our discussions about all of the opportunities and all of the exciting fundraisers that you've hosted in the past. Before we get too deep into the webinar, we'll start with some logistics on how the webinar will run. There are 2 ways to hear the audio from the webinar. So you may either click on the telephone to dial in or listen to the webinar, or you can click Use Mic and Speakers. Either way, you will be able to hear the webinar through those 2 avenues. During our question and answer session, as well as the discussion of the the discussion portions of the webinar, you will need to use the toolbar there to your left. During the discussion portion, please click the raise hand icon so that we can see and acknowledge comments. For question and answer, you may simply type into the comment box and we'll address your questions from there. Should you be able to find both of these features in the control panel there to your left. So tonight's webinar presenters were blessed to have Michael Spira, the APhA Senior Lobbyist, and Lauren DePuter, the Senior Manager of Grassroots Advocacy and the Political Action Committee. I'll be moderating as your APhA-ASP Speaker of the House, but we'll all be guiding you through the Back the PAC campaign and make sure that you're all set by the end of the webinar to launch the campaign at your chapter. As an overview, this evening we'll be providing an overview of the PAC, and we'll discuss the updates from the Government Affairs group about the fundraising challenge. We'll also provide some additional insight to the fundraising challenge, to the Political Action Committee, as well as review the guidelines and fundraising to the fundraising challenge, and provide a number of ideas that will help you with the fundraising challenge. But first, let's get a poll question in here. So, do you know what a PAC is? If Keith will launch our poll, we'll go ahead and ask you if you know what a PAC is. So we'll give it about 5 more seconds. And Keith, what are our results of the poll?
So it looks like you didn't fool anybody there, Lauren. 98%.
And I tried my best. 98% got Political Action Committee. Thank you, Keith. So what is the APhA-PAC? It is the American Pharmacists Association Political Action Committee. Its goal outright is to protect and promote our profession. Its mission to support candidates for federal office who have demonstrated support for pharmacy issues and recognize the value of pharmacists in our healthcare system. And so how is that done? As it says here, by pooling funds to support pharmacy-friendly federal candidates. So in the end, you can see that the APhA Political Action Committee gives pharmacy a voice. So another poll question. Did you participate in the Back the PAC challenge last year? So we'll give it another 5 seconds. And we'll close the poll. What are our results, Keith?
So it looks like we had about almost half of the attendees did not participate in it. 32% said yes, and then 16% were not sure if they participated or donated last year.
Very good. And so we have some representation of the 22 chapters that participated last year, and some in that 52%, probably about 110 we have representation of the rest of the chapters of those 110 chapters that did not participate. So our goal this evening is to help you all get some ideas in order to launch this campaign at your chapter, and to really bring the next level to those chapters that participated last year. So the Back the PAC, what is the campaign? It is a friendly competition between chapters to see who can raise the most funds for the APhA Political Action Committee. In many ways, it's also the PAC Match Challenge, so engaging those new practitioners and alumni to match funds raised by chapters. Starting this year, it became a year-round campaign that ends just before annual meeting on March 20th, 2015. Some chapters have taken advantage of the year-round launch and already started their fundraising, but don't let that deter you. There are certainly many of opportunities between now and annual meeting to really get in this competition. But the question is, why join the campaign? So, as we discussed before, the APhA Political Action Committee is important to the APhA-ASP members because its sole purpose is to protect and promote our profession. Another reason why is there can be some recognition of your chapter. The top 5 winning teams and top fundraising teams will be recognized at APhA 2015. And overall, it is a fun way to raise political awareness at your chapter. So at this point, we'll step into our guest speakers. Michael Spira and Lauren DePuter have joined us outside of their normal business hours to join us and really address the questions of why Back the PAC campaign is important, how students can influence the Political Action Committee, what does the Political Action Committee do with the funds, and what are some rules related to soliciting funds from the students. So with that, I'll hand it over to Lauren DePuter, who will launch us off in the guest speaking portion of the webinar.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren. I am the Grassroots Advocacy and PAC Manager. I mainly handle and help you guys out with fundraising for Back the PAC. I think that it is really important for every single student to get involved with the Back the PAC campaign, because it's up to you guys to protect the future of your profession, and by doing so, you need a very strong PAC. Student pharmacists make up half the membership of APhA, so we need them to get involved for advocating for provider status and for raising awareness of the PAC. So with Government Affairs Department, we advocate for you guys, but it's more important for you guys to be involved because legislators want to hear from you guys. They don't want to hear from staff all the time. They want to hear how you're helping out your patients. They want to hear stories. And what we do with the funds is that we contribute to legislators' campaigns who understand the value of pharmacy and what you guys can do. And they're very strictly vetted. We have an 8-member APhA-PAC Board of Governors. And they go through every single recommendation for a contribution to a member of Congress and decide whether or not they're a true advocate of pharmacy. There's a lot of rules around PACs because this is a legal way to contribute to campaigns. It's become very, very expensive for politicians to run campaigns now. So by us giving them money, they are able to run their campaigns, and it provides us access, and we can educate members of Congress on what pharmacists can do. In our Government Affairs Department, we talk to legislators, regulators, and we also try to educate members of APhA on how they can make a difference. And our number one mission right now for APhA and all pharmacists is to obtain provider status. And we have Michael Spira, our senior lobbyist, on the phone at the moment. He is going to give everybody a brief update on where we are with provider status, because we're really trying to tie the Back the PAC campaign this year to obtaining provider status. Every single provider, healthcare provider, association has a very strong PAC, because it does make a difference when we are lobbying Congress. So with that, I will let Michael give you guys a brief update on provider status. Michael, are you there? Okay, well, he's probably having some technical difficulties, but so at the moment, as you know, APhA promotes consumer access and coverage for pharmacist quality patient care services. And what is provider status? I'm sure most of you guys know this by now, but achieving provider status means payers and policymakers recognize pharmacists as healthcare providers, allowing patients to have improved access to pharmacist services. Pharmacists and their services are not currently recognized as healthcare providers under federal law. Patients and healthcare providers need to be able to access pharmacist services to improve access, outcomes, and value of healthcare, and will ultimately expand professional opportunities and increase job security. Achieving provider status for pharmacists is APHA's top priority. The quest for provider status is not new. Numerous initiatives over the last 20 years have been undertaken. There has been a $1.5 million investment by the APhA Board of Trustees. APhA has been a leader in promoting dialogue going among national and state organizations. And as you can see, we are a part of the Patient Access to Pharmacist Care Coalition, which is a combination of various pharmacy associations. Also, we have some businesses on there too, CVS, Walgreens, and we all have been lobbying and really working together to achieve provider status. So we hope that everybody on this call has signed up to be a provider status volunteer. That is on our website. We will provide the link later, but please sign up. That's how you get the updates. That's how we contact you. We will be launching a more serious grassroots campaign later in the year when we have Senate bill. So it's very important to sign up now. And as you can see, hopefully you guys have seen this on the website, but we have plenty of informational materials. You can also use these for Back the PAC. We have state-specific ones too. They really, and we hope that you bring them to the Hill when you meet with members of Congress too, because it really explains our position. A lot of times members of Congress and their staff really need information before they sign on to legislation. So we help provide that. So please contact me. If you can't find anything on this site, just feel free to always contact me. We are also willing to send more material. We can mail materials to you guys if you ever need them as well. So this is where we are right now with provider status. New Congress just started, the 114th Congress. We will need to reintroduce the House bill, which was H.R. 4190 in the last one. And we are going to be asking all of our last co-sponsors who signed on in the last Congress to sign on again. There's 123 bipartisan sponsors of the bill. So we're hoping to expand that number. And making sure that most of our co-sponsors from the last Congress won their re-election with help from the PAC, of course. So we will be asking them to sign on again, and the Senate bill hopefully will be reintroduced by the end of the month by Senator Chuck Grassley. So we also be lobbying your senators as well. That's a link to be a provider status volunteer. And as you can see, there's a screenshot. So please sign up now if you haven't already. So PAC fundraising rules. I know it's kind of scary. There's a lot of rules around political action committee rules with the Federal Election Commission, but it's really not. This is a legal way to fundraise for political campaigns. Everything's transparent. It's not sketchy or anything. This is the way to do it. So make sure you get approval from your chapter advisor and other chapter leadership before you do any Back the PAC fundraising. All events must be nonpartisan. We are a nonpartisan PAC. We contribute pretty much equally to both parties, so just make sure that there isn't really a partisan connotation to any event. And this is very important. You can only solicit and accept donations from active APhA members. And this disclaimer that's on the slide here should be, if you print out any signs or anything, or you send an email soliciting, please include this disclaimer. So here are some ideas: PAC trivia, raffle, political quiz game. We just updated it. That should be on the website soon. I'm also trying to really push congressional member site visits. Members of Congress really do try to visit campuses and schools within their district. So we're hoping to get members of Congress to do tours. It might be kind of hard to do it right before March, right before annual meeting, but this can go year-round. So feel free to contact me if you need help doing that, and you can always tie that into a PAC fundraiser after that. We're also looking whether they signed on to HR 4190 the last Congress, or we're hoping that they sign on this Congress. It doesn't matter either way, so please contact me if you're willing to do that. And then we're also doing a lot of provider status advocacy sessions, so you can always contact me or Michael Spira, and we can provide you with those materials, and you can do an education session on why provider status matters, especially for student pharmacists, and then tie that in with a PAC fundraiser and really push that it's important to give to the PAC if you want provider status. And there's more information on the APhA-ASP online on the toolkit. So we have a very exciting new announcement this year. We're integrating a text-to-donate campaign as well. So now contributions can be made to the PAC via text-to-donate. It's very secure and safe. We have vetted it with our accounting and our IT departments and with the Federal Election Commission. So it's totally legal, and it's very, very easy to contribute. So please use this in any Back the PAC fundraisers that you do. It'll make it very easy to contribute. And there are 5 simple steps that I will now go through. So to contribute via text-to-donate, you will text ACTION to 50155, 50155, and it will send you a URL. And then you will text how much you want to give. And then as soon as you click on the URL, the next screen will pop up confirming how much you're about to contribute. You can also make sure that you choose, if this is for Back the PAC specifically, make sure you choose which school that you want it to be attributed to. Every school should be in there in a drop-down list, so please choose it so it can go to the correct school. And then you just enter in your credit card number and hit Make Donation. And you will receive a confirmation on your screen as well as an email confirmation thanking you for your recent donation. You can also contribute online. As you can see, there's screenshots as well, and on the contribution page, there's a field where you can type in what school you would like your Back the PAC contribution to be attributed to. So don't forget to fill that out. The 2014 Back the PAC raised $20,000, and the number of chapters that participated were 22. This year we have a goal of doubling that number to 44. So it doesn't matter how much hopefully you can raise as much as possible, but even if it's every single amount matters. So even if you think you can only do a tiny event, that's fine. Every single cent counts. It goes into directly towards us lobbying for provider status. And now I'm going to introduce Dylan Jones, who's the Vice Chair of the Policy Standing Committee for APhA-ASP. He's going to give a brief background on how his chapter was involved with Back the PAC.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. So as Lauren said, my name is Dylan Jones, and I'm currently serving as your APhA-ASP Policy Standing Committee Vice Chair. But I'm going to talk to you today more as a fellow student and talk a little bit about how my chapter took on this campaign. So when we sat down to go over how we were going to approach this, we reviewed those lists of ideas, which are all great, but what we found was that it wasn't necessarily feasible for us to create a new event and introduce it in our calendar. We're all competing with the test schedules, other organization events, the limited free time that student pharmacists have already. So what we decided to do was pair it with an already successful social event. It was our chili cook-off competition. We have it every year. The student body comes, and it's really successful. It's a lot of fun. So it's a good opportunity to introduce the concept of the PAC through that event. So the way we did it was we contributed a percentage of the money generated from entrance fees to go to the PAC. So we would announce this to our members during a chapter meeting, because again, this can only be solicited to active APhA members. But when you announce this at the meeting, it gives you an opportunity to educate your membership about the importance of the PAC and go over some of the legislative priorities and what exactly the PAC contributes in that process. So then the last step was just making sure that when people came to this event, to separate the money collected from those APhA members and those that were not, so we knew what we were allowed to donate the money from. So yeah, that's how we introduced it into our chapter. Did we set a goal? Yes, we set a goal, but it wasn't a monetary goal. Students are on fixed budgets, and they're getting asked for money all the time. People like to sell T-shirts, and they're doing other fundraisers, and we just didn't want to approach it from that angle. So our goal was to educate, and we kind of took the approach that it's going to be more beneficial in the long run to teach students that value of contributing to a PAC and the importance of that in protecting our interest and future as pharmacists. Instilling that into our students, we thought would pay off much more over the long run. But that's not to say that we don't want to raise as much money as possible. If each student pharmacist that's a member of APhA contributed just $2, that would raise over $66,000. So through small donations, if we can get more and more people to buy in, we can raise a large amount of money. So why was our event successful? I would say it was successful because we were able to educate our members about the PAC. We taught them the value. We kind of facilitated the process for them to get involved. And we raised money along the way, which is the ultimate goal. So what advice would I have for other chapters? My advice would be to just do what works for your chapter. We all have different resources, different events competing for our time, and different levels of engagement in the chapter. So if one of those ideas that are previously mentioned works for you, I would say do that. If you would like to come up with a new event, or if you would like to pair it with the event that you've already got on your calendar, that works fine. It doesn't necessarily, or the way that we approached it was that it doesn't necessarily have to be an individual event on top of the other events that our chapter had going on. And I would just say to remember the purpose. It's to educate our students about the PAC and to raise a little bit of money along the way. So with that, we thought it would be interesting to hear from the rest of the audience some of the creative ways that you all have introduced this campaign into your chapter. So I believe either Lauren or Keith would be able to call on someone if their hand goes up. Or
Absolutely. So we're going to start using the hand raise system. If you click the little yellow button where it's got the little hand there, you can raise your hand. What we'll do is we'll unmute you, and then you can start talking. Just give it a second to kind of go through to unmute yourself there. In addition to that, we'll also be welcoming any students that would like to type in some of your questions. If you want, type those in. We'll read them aloud to the audience.
Keith, as we're waiting for some individuals to chime in here with some exciting ideas, I'll mention that just today, as an idea, an exciting idea for the Back the PAC campaign, just today ETSU hosted a fundraiser where they sold tomato soup and grilled cheeses because it was a particularly cold day here in Johnson City, Tennessee. And I believe we raised a significant sum, so we're getting into the game with that creative idea. So what other ideas are out there? We'll see.
So Lauren, give us just a quick overview of what you guys have done, kind of like Dylan talked about what his chapter did last year. What did you guys do?
So in the past, we have, if I remember correctly, last year we did a spring clean activity, which was we have a number of professors that have beards, and we asked them if they would be agreeable to shave their beard if we raised a certain sum of money. If we surpassed that sum of money to a certain degree, then they would shave it completely off. So by the end of the campaign, we had quite a few funds raised, and I think we had 2 beardless professors at the end of it. And some of these had not been beardless for probably easily 20 years, 2 decades of a beard shaved off, all for the APhA Political Action Committee. And I know they know their dollars went to good use, and I think at this point, all of their beards have been restored. I need to visit one of them to make sure it's back on there, but that was just a creative way. We called it the Spring Clean to shave off beards in order to support the APhA Political Action Committee.
Great. And we're going to have Evan Colmenares from UNC talk a little bit about their T-shirt campaign. Go ahead, Evan.
Hey everyone, as Keith said, my name is Evan from UNC Ashland School of Pharmacy. This year we made a new t-shirt design for our chapter, and we had actually set an amount of money that we were going to charge over the shirts no matter what. And so what we used it for was an opportunity to donate money to the PAC, and so on our order form we had people be able to mark whether they wanted the proceeds to go to the PAC or to go to our chapter operating budget, and I would say 80% or more chose the PAC, and we used it as a kind of an educational moment to explain what the APhA-PAC proceeds go towards. So it was kind of a passive type of education.
Great, thank you very much. So that's kind of it for the students who have kind of raised their hand there. We do have a couple questions. Lauren, do you want to do questions now, or do you want to do questions later?
Let's hold the questions. We have a few more poll questions as well as a bit more discussion, and then we'll step into the questions. So don't necessarily
Really
hold
quick.
your questions. Go ahead and go for it. Yes.
I was actually, as I was saying that, Jared Vogel chimed in and said our chapter was playing with the idea of selling PAC items. Years ago, it was a fanny pack with items such as pill stress balls, etc. With more stuff turned into students like Evan. We used the markup. So cool idea.
I think that's a great, very punny idea. Thank you for submitting that, Jared. What other ideas are out there? I know there are some genius ideas because we had 5 schools. I believe Florida, University of Florida, raised over $17,000 last year. So I know that they've had some success both matching with their alumni and the new practitioners and their faculty, as well as those fundraising efforts that are on a smaller scale to raise those funds. Anyone from the University of Florida out there would like to chime in and tell us how they ran their campaign? All right, while those ideas are still coming in, we'll move on to the next step here, which is to go into a poll question. So Keith, if we'll open up the polls again, I'm curious, after this webinar and after this discussion, and Lauren and Michael Spear's options in here, are you and your chapter likely to participate in the Back the PAC campaign this year? We'll give it 5 more seconds. And we'll go ahead and close the poll. What are our results, Keith?
So we have 73% saying yes and 27% saying maybe, which is actually pretty good because quite a few schools last year listed that their school pharmacy didn't allow their participation. And that's actually a good point. I'd encourage you to make sure that you do touch base with your dean or administration just to make sure that what you're doing is okay with your school or college of pharmacy.
I think those results are better than great, Keith. I think those are amazing results. I'm excited by the potential out there. So let's get the 73% and that 27% ready to go by continuing our discussion on the ideas that we have as well as answering some questions. So at this point, chime in. What questions do you have and what ideas do you have to throw out there?
All right, so we'll start it off here. From Nicholas Lawson, this question goes to Michael Spira as well as Lauren DePuter. Can donations come from only student pharmacists, APhA members, or can we approach alumni who are now current APhA members for donations at events? Michael or Lauren?
I can answer this question. So another part of this campaign is a match. There's a match portion of it where we ask alum of the schools to match whatever the students raise. I know from what I've heard from some students, it's hard for them to get access to alumni lists, but we are trying to help facilitate that on our end by sending out a solicitation to APhA members from us, asking them to get involved. But yes, it is more than okay for you to approach any APhA member to solicit them. Just make sure that if they do the text to donate, just make sure that they choose what school they want their contribution attributed to, and they can also do that on the online form and on the website if they contribute on the website.
Great. And while we're on the topic of text to donate, question from Hilly McCant says, is there a way a chapter leader or chapter leaders can see how much their members have donated total through the text to donate for the purpose of matching with their faculty or alumni? Do we have that capability right now? I know the system just was launched very shortly here.
It was launched yesterday, but
yesterday, gotcha.
which was very long in the works, but I'm glad that it's finally running. If you just shoot me an email, I can probably look. If we're just looking at text to donate, that's very easy for me to figure out. So just shoot me an email, and as soon as I can let you know, because it's pretty easy for me to figure it out from the text to donate, which is one of the great things about this this new technique we're using to fundraise.
Okay, so they'll communicate with you directly, and then you'll get them some information back. Great, appreciate it. All right, our next question is from Morgan Tusek. She said, could the deans of the school match the donation as long as he or she is an APhA member?
Yep,
probably
they are totally allowed to donate if they're an APhA member.
Great. Our next question is it just kind of goes basically for overall of fundraising for PACs. It says, so you cannot receive any donations from people who are not APhA members, and that is from Joseph Gollin. And if you just mind going over quickly how you can solicit and kind of who you can solicit.
You can only directly solicit APhA members. So for example, I can't just send out to my group of friends being like, please donate to APhA-PAC. It has to go, this is FEC rules, it has to go directly to APhA members. if for any reason we do get, sometimes I send out a solicitation email, and a member will send, they'll send a donation from their corporate account if they own a pharmacy. That goes, we have a political education account, and it can go into that, but we cannot solicit non-APHA members.
Great, thank you very much. So this question kind of relates to overall PAC kind of fundraising and events that we do at APHA. But beyond the Back the PAC program, what other kind of national events kind of occur for students to kind of get involved in, or as well as PAC members to kind of get involved in related to PAC activities?
Year-round, I've been for the past year or so, especially since we had HR 4190 introduced, I've really been trying to get our PAC checks delivered locally to members of Congress. So, for example, Michael Spira will attend an event here for Burt Guthrie, he's the congressman who introduced HR 4190 for us, and he'll go to an event here in D.C., and then I will send the check to one of our members, a pharmacist in Kentucky, and that pharmacist will either attend a fundraiser for him in the district, or we'll meet with him in person, or he will do a tour of the pharmacy. We actually had Gus Villarakas, he's a congressman in Florida. He did a tour. It wasn't part of Back the PAC, but he did a tour of University of Florida campus, and they got to show him what they do, how they're part of the healthcare team. It's just very important for student pharmacists to get involved and really meet with their members of Congress or staff, especially in the district, because they need to see what you guys are doing. Either side of the aisle, either political party, they're really looking to see what can improve our delivery of care, patient quality care, while cutting down on costs. And pharmacists are the perfect vehicle to do so. So contact me any time of the year. I can help set that up. I can send you those materials that we talked about earlier. Just always feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I can help you facilitate that.
Great. Our next question is here. So we saw how successful the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was, and that was primarily because of social media. Can you just discuss or tell the students how you would like them or not like them to use social media when kind of soliciting donations for the PAC?
We actually did the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge on Michael Spira. If any of you want that video, I'm more than happy to share it. But the problem with doing social media for the PAC is that it can't be broadcast out that wide because it can't go to non-members. So you can share something that's informational about the PAC. I got involved with Back the PAC, learn how you can too, and that is an example. But you can't directly solicit. So you can put up informational posts. Just don't ever directly say support APhA-PAC and like on Facebook. Just share it, like maybe in a closed Facebook group or an email that you send out, something like that. You can do that for APhA-PAC. Just it can't be a direct solicitation to non-APHA members.
Great, thank you very much. And then to go back to the text to donate program that we have, can the chapter donate a certain amount via the text? Are there dollar limits on that?
There's no dollar limits. We did set a minimum of $5 on the text to donate, just because of it's tiny. There's a very tiny fee for this text to donate, but we set a minimum for that for $5. There's no max on it though. So the only problem is we can't, if you're talking about the chapter directly contributing to the PAC, we can't accept those contributions.
So you still want the chapter to send one check for everything that they collect, and individual members to? Oh,
I thought you meant directly out of the chapter account. No, if you're doing it, if you're collecting cash, I would recommend then having one person then send in the check to me. But the text to donate campaign is a really good way. I mean, I personally don't use cash that much nowadays, but I will. If you'd rather do it that way, that's fine too.
Great, thank you so much. So, Lauren, our other Lauren here, James Alcorn from the University of Florida. He's having a little bit of technical difficulties with his microphone and speakers, but he says at the University of Florida they're required to dress professionally for their weekly pharmacotherapy verbal defense sessions. So what they do to raise money is they work with the professors, and then they sell dress-down tickets for students so that they can dress casually but tastefully, obviously, to each of those sessions. And obviously, if you have to wear professional gear every single day, they do make quite a bit of money when they're able to dress down for going to class every day. So that's a big moneymaker for them, as well as a big portion of what they do is they get their alumni involved and kind of get them to match through their program. So that's why University of Florida has been one of our annual winners the past couple of years here.
That's
very
exciting, Keith. That's very exciting, Keith. I saw a question just pop up, and it's specifically to Michael Spira, and he is obviously the one that we've identified as primarily on the Hill. And so the question is, Michael Spira, can you provide an example of where these funds have gone? An example of a PAC donation to a campaign and the result of the PAC donation, just so we as student pharmacists can have a more concrete idea of where the funds that we're working so hard to raise are going.
Thank you, Lauren, and hopefully, can everybody hear me right now? I apologize for before. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but apparently I'm too old of a dog. So yes, every dollar we raise goes towards supporting provider status. And a little more in depth on that, as most, if not all of you know, we now have a pharmacist in Congress. Buddy Carter ran from the 1st District of Georgia, and he is a pharmacist, and he is now in Congress. All the money that we raised, pardon, I should say that, money we raised helped him get to the position he currently is in. So we now have a greater chance of getting provider status, of getting our bill passed, because we now have one of our own in Congress. So every dollar you all donate will help to make sure not only that our champions of the legislation gets passed, not only that people like Buddy Carter get elected or reelected in his case, but to also make sure our supporters of the legislation gets the money they need to make sure they're back in Congress. So every dollar that we raise goes towards supporting those who support us.
I would also add, we also do a SIG PAC challenge later in the fall. We did it for the first time this past year, but we did a conference call with a member of Congress, Ami Bera, who's actually a physician, and we donated for the PAC, so he would talk to the SIG members who contributed to this PAC challenge, and his race actually went to a runoff, and then he ended up winning, and our PAC check directly went to that runoff, and he ended up winning it, and he is a physician who strongly believes that pharmacists should be a part of the team, which is great that he's back in Congress now.
Excellent. And I think that provides a lot more context as to what the PAC is doing and where those funds are directly going. And Michael Spira, before you have any more technical difficulties, we have another question that came up for you. That is, when will we have a new number for the provider status bill in the House of Representatives and or the Senate? And will it be soon enough to share during the Back the PAC campaign, which will end on March 20th?
Yeah, great questions, Lauren. Thank you. Yes. So I was informed earlier this evening, actually just a couple hours ago, that I expect the House bill to drop next, looking at a calendar, the week after next. So the 26th, I believe, is when the House bill will drop. And by drop, I mean that's when the House bill will be introduced, and the Senate bill will be right around that time. So we will have a bill number, House and Senate, for you all to tell your fellow student pharmacists about. So before the end of this campaign, before the end of the Back the PAC, we will have a House number and a Senate number within the next couple of weeks for you all to tell everyone else about.
Excellent. I think that's extremely exciting news, and congratulations to you and the Government Affairs Group that are working so hard for us on the Hill. That's excellent news. So,
Lauren, if I could interrupt for a second, it's excellent news for us, but a lot of that has to do with the work that our student pharmacists do in reaching out to their representatives, in reaching out to the staff of those representatives, and letting them know the important work that they do for the representatives' constituents. So it's not only important that you reach out and talk to them, but by donating, we can make sure those people you speak to stay in Congress. So thank you for all of that.
very good. So we'll step back into our questions from the audience as well as our comments. I have a message from Han Lee from the University of Florida Jacksonville campus. He said he would love to chime in and introduce a few ideas that University of Florida, our last year's winning chapter, and we'll invite him to join in and discuss what they did last year. Let me find you.
Emotional stability, attention span. The principal effect of amphetamine.
So it looks like Conley is studying.
Let me go ask a question here real quick, Lauren, of Lauren DePuter here. If a student, this is from Jared Vogel, it's a little bit of a detailed question here, but if we can somehow figure something out, because I know that a lot of schools suffer with this, that'd be good. But he writes, if I were able to get a list of the graduates through my school or a list of his alumni, he wouldn't really be allowed to go down the list to contact the individuals because he wouldn't have their membership status. Is there something that APhA can do to help to make sure that we're not violating any rules? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that's a hard question, just because I know our association has rules with giving out contact information. You know, when you sign off on something that says we will not give out your contact information to other sources. On our side, I will check to see if we're allowed to give that out, but I have a feeling that we're not. But on our side, we're contacting alum and asking them to get in contact with their alum schools, with their chapter presidents, and getting involved to match the donations. So we're working on our side to hopefully get the alum more involved. So I'll keep all participants updated on that.
Great, thank you so much. Lauren, that's it for the questions on my end.
Excellent. I don't see any more either, so we'll continue on. We have a few more minutes of the presentation. If you have any other comments or questions, certainly chime in there via the chat box or the raised hand function, and we'll make sure to get your question answered by the end of the presentation. So before we close, we would like to review the APhA resources. The Policy Vice President Toolkit is on Pharmacists.com. So for all of those Policy Vice Presidents out there, there is your source to all of the Back the PAC campaign information, as well as all of the information that you would ever need as a Policy Vice President. And for all those other individuals that aren't necessarily Policy Vice Presidents, you can certainly tap into those resources as well, because all of the Back the PAC information can be found in there. You can sign up to be an APhA advocacy key contact there at that link. And those individuals are the student pharmacists, technicians, and scientists, and any APhA member that are tapped into during times when action is needed on the Hill. Michael Spira, as well as Lauren DePuter, are always making sure that those key contacts are in the know and available whenever action is needed on the Hill. You can also view all of the APhA government affairs information on Pharmacists.com. The advocate page link is just there, and where you can visit the APhA Legislative Action Center, as well as get some more information about APHA's major advocacy issues. There is always the Legislative and Regulatory Update e-newsletter, which doesn't require any effort from you other than opening an email. The information is sent to you on a monthly basis from APhA Government Affairs Group so that you can stay in the know as an APhA member. You can follow the APhA-ASP on Facebook or Twitter, and that's APhA-ASP. Now, there are two big pages, the APhA main page as well as the APhA-ASP page, both of which provide current information, with the APhA-ASP page providing information immediately pertinent to student pharmacists. Or you can email Michael Spira at that email address there. I promise he can answer an email, maybe not join us on get too complicated with the technology on a webinar, but he can answer an email. So those are the resources immediately available to you as you proceed with the APhA Back the PAC campaign. So the upcoming webinars will mention to all of those chapter delegates out there that your orientation for APhA 2015 will be on Thursday, March 12th at 9 p.m. We'll ask you to join us there in order to understand what the processes and procedures will be when you're at annual. If you have any recommendations as to further webinars or more webinars that you would like to see, we would certainly like those ideas sent in to either to me or via the Facebook page, or somehow get in contact with your National Executive Committee in order to make sure that we are able to hold that webinar for you. So before we close, I think we should take a moment of inspiration and really step out there and review all that we have gone through in tonight's webinar. We've reviewed a lot of information, but a few key points are that these slides will be available online after this presentation. And these are the slides so that you can take apart the slide deck and present it in your general meetings. It also includes the slides for the text to donate service so that you can get your chapter members texting to donate during your general chapter meetings. A recording of this webinar will also be available online after we close tonight, so that you can access this information, particularly if we've gone through something too quickly, or if you found an idea that your fellow student pharmacist offered, you can review those ideas. And the key number that I would like to remember tonight is 50155. And I will certainly be ending this webinar and texting that in order to text my donation to the APhA Back the PAC. And that number again is 50155. And you'll text the word action to that number in order to text to donate for the Back the PAC. So another number to remember is 44. Last year we had 22 chapters from across the country participate in the Back the PAC campaign. And the APhA-ASP NEC is challenging all of those chapters out there to double that number. So we're looking to double that number from 22 chapters to 44 chapters participating in the Back the PAC campaign. And I think that's why I was extremely excited about seeing that nearly everyone on this phone call, or the majority on this phone call, said yes or maybe to participating in the Back the PAC campaign. So we're excited to see that you all are ready and engaged and ready to start the Back the PAC campaign at your chapters. We're here as a resource and definitely ready to support you in doubling our numbers from last year to 44 chapters participating in the Back the PAC. So with that, we will close for the evening unless Keith has gotten a few more questions for us. And we will wish you the best of luck as you participate in the Back the PAC campaign.
We don't have any questions, but just to close tonight, we will make this recording available on the APhA-ASP website under the webinar section. And then also the text to donate slides, we'll kind of cut those out, and we'll make those available via PowerPoint so that you can incorporate those within your chapter presentations to let your folks know